Bayek, it's me, Ian, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about this. Yes, it's Nowhere Man. This ran from 28th of August 1995 to the 20th of May 1996. It was one season. It was on UPN. It can be described as a conspiracy theory thriller. And it came at a time when these kind of shows were of great interest because it was the time, don't forget, of the X-Files, and networks were looking for the new X-Files kind of slant, and this came as a result. Unfortunately, as I say, it got axed at the end of the first season, as so many great series did. Like, remember Dark Skies and all that. It's sad, really, but that's how it goes in TV terms. But this is a pretty special series. The critics, even at the time, realised the quality of this series, and I absolutely love it. It takes quite a lot of watching, but over the years I've watched it quite a few times, and I really love the feel of this series. I mean, you would never nowadays even get 25 episodes made. You'd be lucky to get 10. You might get 10. That seems to be the norm nowadays, but they produced these massive series, which, as I say, they transmitted over a year, probably, that sort of thing. They'd often have like mid-season breaks, and it just, the whole thing, it like all series, like X-Files, all the Star Treks, they were all running 20-odd episodes a whole season. It was a different world then, to some extent, in terms of television, but it was still very cut and thrust, and even like today, certain shows didn't survive that long, which is a shame, really. Anyhow, this was created by Lawrence Herzog. He obviously was inspired again by what was going on, and thought, well, there was a gap in the market for this kind of series. He was obviously influenced by series like The Prisoner, The Fugitive, all these great TV series which had the heart of somebody, to some extent, being on the run, basically trying to prove their innocence and trying to survive. And also, like in The Prisoner, there's all sorts going on around in who do you trust? Can you really escape from these people? Is there any escape? That is what it all builds around, really. It was shot in Portland, Oregon. You can see a lot of the locations are really good that they use. It really helps and enhances the series. It starred Bruce Greenwood. Now, Bruce Greenwood, you may know now more from, he was Captain Pike in the Star Trek reboot films. He's appeared in Super 8, Doctor Sleep even. But he's very much a television kind of actor, and also done voiceovers for animated series like some of the Batman He's been involved in all sorts of things, Canadian actor. But this series, he really holds together so well his portrayal of Bruce, of Thomas Vale. That's the name of the character. Bruce Greenwood's called. He's called Thomas Vale. And it works so well with him as the lead, definitely. He plays this part really well. The other actress that is in here is somebody you might recognise. She's not, in fact, mainly the guests, artists, actors don't appear over that many episodes. She appears mainly in about 4 or 5 episodes. I think it's about 4 episodes. But she's quite an important character. She plays his wife. It's Megan Gallagher. Now, immediately when you say her name, you think Millennium. Yes, Millennium, which again was similar sort of time period, if you remember. Similar kind of, conspiracies going on around there. Definitely a very dark, horrific, brilliant series, man. I absolutely loved Millennium. Particularly the first season of Millennium is great, but that's for another time to talk about Millennium, perhaps. But anyhow, she appears in there, so you can see the connection already in there. And she's appeared she appeared in Voyager, apparently, episodes, and also right up to fairly recently, she was in a series that I absolutely loved, which got cancelled, I think, after about three seasons, I think. Designated Survivor, which starred the wonderful Kiefer Sutherland, which, if he's involved, I'm always interested. He's a great actor. I love Kiefer Sutherland. And she was in Designated Survivor as well. Right. So I think I'll give you sort of an idea where this story comes from. It's basically the first pilot episode. He is in his favourite restaurant with his wife, and he goes to the bathroom, comes back, she's not there. Nobody recognises him. They're denying all knowledge about his wife and who he is. And then he finds out that his bank cards are not working. Everything starts to unravel. His identity. It's almost like he's been erased. And his wife says she doesn't know who he is. His friends don't say who he is. His whole world is falling apart. And clearly something is very amiss. And the reason he has to find out, how is he going to get his identity back? What is happening here? And some people are clearly after him as well. And it all comes down, he's a photojournalist. And he took, in South America, this photo. And it shows 4 men hanging. And what appears to be US Army figures, soldiers surrounding on this photo. And it looks kind of covert and something that shouldn't be really seen by people. It's something he should not have taken, this photograph. He's got the negatives though still, and he's got them hidden. And these people, he believes, are after him to try and get those negatives back. And we go on from here as each week he's trying to find who's behind all this, try and get his identity back. discover basically what's going on, and it just develops the whole story, and you get these like sinister people. Now it's interesting because remember in the X-Files you had like the smoking man. Well, in this you've got these people smoking as well, who immediately signal as if, hey, these are the bad guys. It's just the way they are. It's quite funny seeing that, but it's like a sort of signal to say, hey, look, there's the bad guys, you know. And everything is always twisted round, and he comes into so many narrow escapes as the episodes develop from these people after him. Then he starts to come across other people who perhaps have been in similar positions to him and are also like on the run, and nobody seems to be always quite what they seem. And this is how it all develops until we get right through to the final episode, which obviously they were hoping wasn't going to be the final episode, because it leaves with quite a shocking conclusion. And the conclusion makes you think, wow, if it had gone into a second season, we would have taken the whole thing somewhere else. But it never happened. And that is rather sad that it didn't happen, because I'd love to know what happened after. But this is always the thing. This is where some people say, well, you've invested such a lot into a series, and then for it to be not have a proper ending, then it's a bit of a letdown. But that's you have to accept that. But it doesn't detract my enjoyment at all from this series. I absolutely love it. I really do love it. And it's, as I say, of that period and time, there were some great series coming out, and it, to some extent, television was really full of lots of experimental shows. I mean, you could go through loads of shows in the 90s that were really imaginative and fantastic. It was like the X-Files had created a renaissance to some extent in some of these series. And they showed that writers could really let themselves go and let their imaginations, and it was fantastic. It's what a golden period. And you think of all, major series like X-Files, and you think, oh, Star Trek, how wonderful that was going on as well. And just everything about this era is fantastic. And this was one of those series. Unfortunately, it never got onto the mainstream in this country, in UK. Sky may have shown it. I don't know, actually. But I came across it through just reading about it, and then eventually managing to get hold of this DVD copy. But it was never released here. It's an American Region 1 one. And it is actually now quite difficult to get hold of because it's gone out of print. Amazon have got it down, but it's listed with other sellers and they're charging ridiculous prices. I looked on eBay and there's some more reasonable prices for it. It's still quite expensive, but it's a bit better than through the Amazon sellers. But this is also a great set. There's 9 discs and some great extras. You've got interviews with directors, the cast, all the main people involved in it. There's extensive deleted scenes. It's a great package. It's honestly a great set to have. Really, it'd be good if they could really release it, but that is just not going to happen, is it? I mean, nobody else is going to be interested apart from collectors in this again, which is a shame because it just goes into television history. And especially as he is an actor, it's I think this is important in his career as you look at it. I mean, to be the star of your own TV series, which he is just great, and he is a good actor as well. I mean, he's good in the Star Trek films. It's Captain Pike. So here we are. It's a wonderful piece of television history, which I'm really glad I've got hold of, and I still enjoy. I think the X-Files I'm going to talk a lot about eventually, but we haven't got there yet, but we will get there. I've got the big X-Files box set, and it's one of my treasured possessions, because I do have quite a deep love for the X-Files. You know, even in the very later series, as when people say it jumped the shark and was going on perhaps too long, I still have a lot of fond memories about the X-Files. But we're talking about this. What I'm saying is this, you could say it is an heroic failure, because it failed ultimately, which is really sad, but it's a great piece of television history and something to treasure and enjoy, and that's what I do. So that's it. That's me going on about this series. If you ever get a chance to see it in whatever form, I don't know, then I would highly recommend this series. So that's it. So all I've got to say, as usual, is please subscribe. It costs note. If you like this video, want to put some more comments, put comments down, give it a like, and it costs note. I love people commenting, talking about these series. It's always interesting, because as you probably guessed, I love history about everything, really, and TV series is always, I find, very interesting as well. But there's never enough time to watch all these things, is there? That's probably why I don't know half of films that I'm supposed to, because I've been watching TV series as well as the films. Anyhow, but there we are. So, anyhow, that's it. I'm rambling on again. So, all I've got to say is, I'll see thee, and I'll see thee again.